I'm in Colorado.
My face.
It's legal in all of our states, right?
Not in mine, but I don't give a fuck.
I'm not sure if it's legal in Philadelphia. Actually, I think it is municipal wise, but not federally.
You guys have
all right,
so guys,
yeah. Welcome to Breaking the Fourth Wall, the weekly show, guys. I am Christopher Stolle, and joining me is the panel of fun friends and family and people that we picked up on the side of the road with a banjo and a squirrel hanging out of their beard. Sorry, Don. Guys, welcome to another week. Guys, I'm happy to have back my panel. First and foremost, my right-hand man, as I described last, Sean Smith. Don.
What's happening?
Turn on your mic and say hello.
Hey, hello. My squirrel says hello too, so that way we're all on board. My squirrel's going to be joining in later, right? And he's all the beard jokes, I tell you. I even got a haircut for this, and I get crapped on for my beard. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. and also the host of What's Your Effin' Binge, the guy with the coolest hairstyle in the group, Mr. Christopher Rudder.
I don't know if mine's the coolest today, man. Our guest that we brought on, man, I'm really digging the look you got going on there, dude. That's pretty cool. As far as having like big fucking locks like that, man, I'm super fucking jealous. But anyways, happy to be on board. How's everybody?
As Chris pointed out, we do have a special guest. I was going to save him for last, but since it was already the cat out of the bag, the man who is wearing hair that would get off and donated it to Locks of Love, Mr. Kaivan.
How you guys doing? Yeah, no, the hair is a lot. I'm thinking about, like, I never really grew it out this far before, but because, I'm indoors most of the time because of the whole pandemic thing, I'm just like, why not grow it out, see how long it gets? Hopefully I get all the way down to like here. I can be like Ian Gillan of Deep Purple or something.
It'll get as long as you let it.
Grow it. I hope so. Wait, by the time I turn 28, it might all be gone. Who knows?
Hey, I'll tell you what, man. There's nothing greater than growing your hair so long that when you sit on the toilet seat in the morning and it's not cold. That's all I'm saying.
I have to agree with you there.
And speaking
who needs toilet paper?
Speaking of toilet seats, guys, remember to set it down, not leave it up with our other panelists here. The CEO of Vinyl Profit Records, Miss Sirenity Stone. Sirenity.
Hello. Glad to be back. How are you guys?
Hello. And of course, last but certainly not least, our spiritual advisor, our conscience, if you will. He's literally Jiminy Cricket if this panel was Pinocchio, Mr. Colin Washburn. Colin.
Thank you, Chris. Good to see you, buddy.
I love the eye roll. All right, guys. So last week we got into a bunch of cool shit. We're definitely going to be revisiting some things and everything else. One of the major things we're going to be talking about is we got to finish our conversation with Serenity's issue. So we're going to be getting into that, but foremost, I think if anybody's got a topic of the day to get in, let's get it in now before we go into the news buffet and get this show started. So off the bat, anybody got anything they want to bring to the table?
Yeah, I finally got my COVID negative test, so I'm now COVID free. Hooray for me! I got to go back to work, and I feel a lot better. That's it.
Wow! Congratulations.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, man, it was 13 days. It was 13 days of hell, and then whenever it got to be, I took the test this past Wednesday, so 4 days ago. I knew going to go take the test, I felt a lot better than I had the previous few days. So I knew I didn't know, but I really felt confident that I was going to get a negative result. And the crazy thing is I had the whole list of symptoms and rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. Most of them were 6 or worse, especially the breathing. But during all of this, my wife got tested 3 times and all of them came up negative. It's just so fucking weird, man.
Maybe just got the flu.
Yeah, but I mean, she didn't have any symptoms, nothing at all, and never tested positive. But to be able to finally get a negative test so I can go back to work, because while I was positive, she wasn't allowed to work either. So both of us were, basically fucked over me getting sick. So it's really cool to be not sick anymore and back to work.
Now, did your employer help out at all? Did you have any kind of leave because of it? Any of the government assistance that everybody talks about that's not really there?
Yeah, there is no such thing anymore. All of that expired. And in Indiana, they have an instant claim for unemployment for COVID relief for those who are affected. But because you file for it doesn't mean that you get the money right away. You still have to wait. And it's like a 4 to 6 week backlog. So before we see the first penny of it, I'm already back to work. So I have to cancel the claim. If I do get anything out of it, it's going to be like 4 or 5 weeks down the road. So, I mean, it's of zero benefit, really. It really is. My employer, I mean, it's the Eagles Club, and, they're nationally known for, being people who help other people. They helped. They were cool. They threw some money my way to make sure I didn't get fucked on rent or with the electric or anything like that. Super cool, super good people and everything. They helped us. But as far as like anything from the state or government, fucking forget that. It's not there. It's definitely not there.
Well, you do realize that unemployment, for example, yeah, they are 4 to 6 weeks backlog. But when you filed and were employed because of the COVID thing, they owe you that money. So even if you cancel the claim, that money's still owed. They're still going to send that to you. They can't not pay you that.
Yeah, and it's a grand total of back pay of like 9 days. So it's the Indiana formula is 47% of what you make. And being a bartender, you only claim what you have to. And so 47% of claiming what you have to basically boils down to like $116, I think. So not like that was going to save the fucking rent or the electricity to begin with whenever it comes in. It'd be like a bonus Wednesday night bartending. That'd basically be what it boils down to for me.
And by claiming what you have to, I'm sure you mean every penny you make, right?
Well, if the IRS is watching, yes, I claim every goddamn penny there ever was. Even the pennies I don't get, I claim. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to get 100% honesty, just like our government.
That's right. You have to be totally accountable.
In our business, we have waitresses. Our waitresses do the same thing. I mean, they claim most of their tips, but we don't chase them around and follow them to see, hey, how much did you really make?
Yeah, and unless you're like, if you're looking to like buy a new car or maybe get into a house, maybe you finally got to the point where you're looking to be a homeowner or whatever. That's whenever, if you're in the service industry where you truly claim 100% of everything you get, because every penny does help with that. But if you're not in that situation, like I am, like I don't need a new car. I've got a good car. We got a car and a bike and we got a house, whatever. I don't need any of that shit. So I only claim what I have to make sure my employer doesn't get in trouble. I have to show that I make at least a minimum wage. So that's what I claim because I don't need the rest of it,
Right. During the COVID,
I have.
It's been kind of messed up.
I have family that actually work for the IRS, and they have a saying in there: the IRS has what it takes to take what you have. So I mean, it's there. But I'm thrilled to know that you went through it and were able to come out unscathed. In your personal opinion, I got to ask this because with the news and everybody else, and with the COVID situation, I don't want to make light of people that may have had it a little harsher. So I'm not basing your answer as like the answer to COVID in general, just from your experience of the virus, the infection itself. Is it do you think it's really as bad as it's been hyped up to be in the news and media and what we've heard in the world, just from your personal experience?
So I'm gonna yes and no. That it's a two-folded answer. Is it as bad as what the media portrays it to be, that everyone's gonna fucking die from it? No. Is it a bad thing to get and it's gonna cause harm to your body and you're really gonna feel fucked up? Yes. What the media portrays it as, it's nowhere near that. Going through it yourself personally, you're going to feel effects, and it's not good. It's way worse than just a cold. It's way worse than just the flu because of all of the extra symptoms you get. Yesterday was my first day back to work, and 8 hours behind the bar. After about 5 hours, I could not believe how fucking exhausted I was. The fatigue factor that stays with you after you're free and clear of it. I told my boss, I was like, man, if we had a cot back there, I could go take a nap for 10 hours. I could easily go lay down right now and fall to fucking sleep. I was so tired. I just couldn't believe that. It was just mind blowing. And I'm the one who, goes to the gym and does, jujitsu and fucking takes vitamins and all this stuff. And it didn't fucking care. Corona, she will take the fucking time she wants to let go of you. And, it just, really weird. The fatigue thing is like the worst part of it. And then like from the breathing issues that I had, I feel like there's probably going to be some lingering effects of that, but I'm a smoker. So it's not like I can really ask anybody to feel sorry for me. I'm going to have issues regardless, but I've never had like coughing or breathing problems ever until this, so, it's not as bad as what the media says, but it is a bad thing to get.
Well, right on, man. I appreciate you, your candor on this. I really appreciate the fact that you kind of gave a daily log through your 2-week hiatus on this, and especially like with Breaking the Fourth Wall weekly show here, that you came on and talked about it both weeks that's been going on. And, it was nice that we got the first week where you kind of got diagnosed with it, and now you're certified clean. You got the antibodies. Everybody, let's drink his COVID cure concoction, like the lady did last week. And I can't think of a better segue into the smoothie. And I can't think of a better segue into the news buffet than that. So Don, take. Go ahead.
All right. We'll figure this out. It's great to be back here on the news buffet. Why the news buffet? Because it may not taste very good, but there's a hell of a lot of it. So let's dig right into it. Let's fill our cups with what we have here. The Tokyo Toilet Project just cut the tape on a newly installed restrooms at 2 parks in Tokyo's Shibuya neighborhood this month. The colored glass washrooms are cleverly designed to be transparent when unoccupied, so potential users can confirm they're empty and clean, but turn opaque once the door is locked internally. So that they're not clear the whole time, just when nobody's in there, which is a good thing, I guess. There are 2 things we worry about when entering a public restroom, especially those located at a park. The first is cleanliness. The second is whether anyone is inside, wrote the restrooms creator, Pritzker Prize-winning architect and Tokyo native Shigeru Ban, on the Toilet Project's website. So yes, we have see-through toilet walls in Tokyo parks. Because why not? And there is a picture. If you want to see a picture of what these look like, we can go ahead and share the screen. That way everybody can take a look as soon as I get it up here and figure out what
I'm not sure if we can or not. Yeah, I don't know if we can with a whole group, but I could definitely say this much from it. Well, maybe we can. Oh, wait, where's it at? We'll see. I don't know. It might kick us all off of here, but there we go. That's
it should work.
It's kind of a nice idea, I guess. You can look in ahead of time. I'm just worried that when you go in, I mean, how does it work? Does it work like you can see out while you're in there, so you feel like you're pooping in the open, or Is it just that feel?
It's
That's
like a
what
nightmare.
I would want to see if somebody else is trying
It's
to
just
get
like
in.
jail.
It's terrifying though. Imagine that. You have to like be sitting there and there's just some guy waiting in front and you just see him, he's like fiddling around with his phone, just like
Right.
but you're just like kind of shit, it's terrible. Imagine there's like a blackout or something. And then it's like that's all I can think about.
Yeah, when the power goes, you're exposed. That's the that's their slogan.
Hope nobody looks.
Well,
That's awesome. If anybody here hasn't actually like done like international flights, going through Japan and going to their public restrooms, like you have to squat and shit in a little hole in the floor. This is an incredibly fancy bathroom by their normal standards, let alone the glass. It looks like they have a bidet and an actual bowl there. So that's way far more than what you get in an average bathroom in Japan, to be honest with you. It's
very
That's better. It's better than the Pulse toll digger that Chris was talking about last week.
Yeah,
I'll tell you,
I still couldn't do it. Oh.
Well, I'm pretty sure when the walls turn
I've
opaque, you don't see out, but because that would take a lot of trust if you could still see out and just believe that nobody could see in. That would take a lot of trust on your part. I don't think I could do it.
Oh, yeah.
I'd need a button.
There's a lot of
that was going to be my.
There's a lot of weird fetishes.
That's what I was
over
going to
there,
say.
so
It does like Can you charge admission? I mean, like when I drop drawers and release last night's Taco Bell, can I get ticket price for this? You know, if people are going to be sitting there watching me go.
There's a niche for everything, my guy.
I guess if you get them to pay for it, you go for it. You know, I don't know.
Pay-per-view.
A pay-per-poo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Let's get on to something.
I am kind of disappointed. I'll admit, I'm kind of disappointed that the toilet bowl, the bidet, and everything else isn't see-through too. Like, you might as well get the whole show.
Right.
This almost feels like censorship to me.
Yeah. When I first read this story, it said they had see-through toilets, and I'm thinking, does that mean you can see the whole path it takes? Is it like an experiment? Is it at the doctor's office to where they can tell what's wrong with you by what's in it? I don't know. It's all kinds of things.
Seeing the whole Brown experience and then the bidet at work and everything. Jesus Christ. No, I don't want to see that.
Can you track it on Google Maps?
Perfect.
Like that one app in San Francisco where they tag where all the homeless people poop on the streets, have kind of the same app for, you know, where your poop goes at this bathroom.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's like
you guys have just
kind of like you ever seen the dollar bills that have the where'sgeorge.com so you can see where your money went.
It's just like a colonoscopy gone wrong, you know? So you can go out there eventually actually flush it. There it goes.
It's a reverse colonoscopy. That's what.
Well, when is our smartwatch going to be able to tell us this? It's all going to link together at some point. So our watch is going to start telling us where and when we poo?
If your watch has to tell you.
Save location, chat here, July 22nd. July 22nd.
I'm telling you, you guys are single-handedly ruining that segment for the local news is due, where they track Santa's location. Like, that's not going to pale in comparison to.
Oh yeah.
The Poo Patrol.
Well, let's stay in Japan for a minute. A Japanese museum dedicated to the history and practices of ninjas was targeted by thieves who apparently knew something of stealth and speed themselves, stealing $9,470 in 3 minutes. The Iga-ryu Ninja Museum, located in Iga, said there were no staff members inside when the late-night thieves broke in and triggered the alarm. Police were summoned to the scene and determined that the thieves had used a crowbar to force open the door and made off with a 330-pound safe containing admission fees for more than 1,000 visitors. The museum said about $9,470 was inside. The thieves are believed to have been in and out of the museum in about 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
They really fucked the dog on that one, because if they actually knew what they were looking for going into that kind of a museum, all they had to do is grab one sword and they'd have several $1 million to split. Instead, they walked away with 4,000.
9,000.
I like to think maybe it's like they were just ninjas like collecting, payment, because it's like, okay, this museum's here, it's our stuff, we got to display, but we need a cut of the profit.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, because they weren't getting paid out of that. That's wrong. If that is their museum.
It's reparation.
Guys, you guys are thinking way too hard into this. You're thinking way too hard into this. It was just the Ninja Turtles. They needed to pay for another thing of pizza. Man, come on.
It gives a whole new reason to 3-Minute Man. Like a 3-Minute Man, totally different now. It's a ninja.
Yeah,
there you go.
Very stealthy. In and out in 3 minutes. You never knew he was there.
In and out before
he small then too.
All I can think of is that Thomas Crown affair, where they're trying to steal stuff and get away with it, and then Bruce Willis swinging on a star. Does that ring a bell with anybody?
A little bit, but yeah.
Is that from Hudson Hawk? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
There you go.
So.
Hudson Hawk.
Yeah.
Classic movie.
Your entertainment guy at your service. Thank you very much.
Oh, let's see what else kind of fun we got here. Let's see. Seeing your town covered in chocolate powder is likely one of the only things that could rival waking up to a white Christmas for many children. For one town in Switzerland last Friday morning, it wasn't just a fantasy. The Swiss town of Olten, located between Zurich and Basel, received a surprise dusting of cocoa after a ventilation system malfunctioned at a local chocolate factory. The Lint and Springley, sorry, I want to make sure I get that correct. The company said a minor defect developed in the cooling ventilation for a line of roasted cocoa nibs in its factory in Olten. Yeah, you just spread your nibs over the whole town. The nibs are fragments of crushed cocoa beans that serve as a basis of chocolate. The minor defect, combined with strong winds Friday morning, caused the chocolate powder to spread around the immediate area of the factory. So yeah, we're Willy Wonka.
Is that like the real Swiss Miss Mocha factory or something, or just another cocoa place in Switzerland?
Just another cocoa place in Switzerland. I don't think that's the Swiss Miss people, but
so you're telling me, Switzerland doesn't smell like that all the time, though? Isn't like Disneyland? They just pump it into the ventilation system,
It
so
should.
It's kind of cool. As long as you don't have allergies, that's actually pretty cool.
Snowing chocolate doesn't sound altogether that bad.
Especially in Switzerland. Come on.
Right, I don't think they're reporting this as a bad thing. I think this is just another way to get more tourists in.
I'm on my way.
Yeah.
They could promote it as giving you a conk buzz for the surrounding areas.
Everybody's out there licking stop signs and shit, fucking, because they love the cocoa and, hilarious.
And that's going to spread the coronavirus all over again. We're licking stop signs. That's where it all starts. Licking the stop signs and store windows. That's what.
Have you ever seen the videos though of like people biting into stuff and it's just chocolate? It's like terrifying. There's like these videos of like people, they take like nuts and bolts and stuff, and it looks like genuine like metal and stuff, and they bite into it. And it's just chocolate stuff, and it's just coated and dusted to make it look like terrifying.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Right, but the joke's on them. I mean, what if it's like baking cocoa and you go to lick the stop sign and it's like
it's real bitter. Yeah, that's
just put a little bit of sugar on it, carry a salt shaker of sugar and just go around town.
Take the whole stop and put it
with your dusting of cocoa nibs.
Have your iPod playing Def Leppard, pour some sugar on me the whole time, so everyone knows what you're doing.
Totally. That's my playlist.
But is that an easy fix, like Big Daddy, just throw some newspaper on it? I mean...
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of Big Daddies out there eating all that chocolate.
Not content with already holding the record for building the world's fastest... What's that? Where'd we go? Not content with already holding the record for building the world's fastest shed, a gardener from Oxfordshire has created a souped-up wheelbarrow to go in that shed. Kevin Nix, 55, believes he set a new speed record after clocking 44 miles per hour on the back of a wheelbarrow earlier today. He called it the Barrow of Speed and thinks he can go even faster when a Guinness World Records representative comes to verify the accolade in 6 weeks' time. His custom-built contraption, which uses a moped engine, was competing at a Straightliners event in Elvington Airfield in North Yorkshire. He said, I'm here with people who do over 200 miles per hour on motorbikes, and they've all said this machine is insane.
So instead of having like
hour wheelbarrow.
So instead of it saying this has a 50-pound capacity, this has a 12 horsepower fucking motor on it, and it does 45. That's hilarious.
Where do you sit? Yeah. Do you like sit backwards in it and hold on to like?
Well, it's kind of designed. If you want, my screen shared. If you want to pull it up here, it's kind of designed like the stand behind riding mowers, where you just have the little platform.
Oh my god!
Let me sit in the barrel. Like,
is that George W. Bush on the back of that thing?
Oh man!
This guy can run for office. This guy should run for office. That's creative as fuck, man.
This is what America's all about, right here.
Oh, yeah.
He looks like him.
That'd be good for politics. You imagine
I'll
how
tell
much
you,
shit you
folks,
could
now
get out of a high-speed wheelbarrow like that. You're just shit going everywhere at this point.
It has somewhere to put it. The wheelbarrow needs a purpose.
Right. Other than just going fast. There needs to be
or me sitting in it. I want to sit in that. I want to experience that. It looks like a fun Elitch's or Six Flags or, like it looks like a fun ride. I wouldn't mind.
It's a souped-up shopping cart. That's all it is when you look at it.
I'm zooming in on this, and this thing is. I'll tell you what. It's got a chain. It's chain driven, and it looks like you would be standing on a Segway with a front basket on it. That's some fucking engineering, man. That's pretty cool.
It's all dark.
Yeah, it's got a kickstand. It's got a little kickstand. Wow. That's adorable. That is adorable right there. So it doesn't flip over when you're carrying a load. That's
you never want to flip while you're carrying a load.
That is
I
true.
will say this much though.
That could help with the Chinese bathrooms. Just make it out of clear plexiglass.
There you go. That's what he's there for.
Picture. The one thing I take away from this, looking at this picture, though, is that man is way too proud of the free time on his hands.
Yeah.
Just look at the way he's standing.
It's a board engineering major. That's what it is.
Well, he's a gardener. That's what's fun about this. He's a gardener. Can you imagine if this is what he spends all of his time on? What the hell those gardens look like?
Imagine what his tiller looks like if this is just a fucking wheelbarrow, man.
I mean, what do you need a wheelbarrow to go like that fast in a backyard? For God's sakes, how big the garden gonna be?
It's got to be a hell of a big backyard. That's
big yard.
Come on.
And who doesn't like a big backyard?
I like a big. Yeah, let's not go there.
Some people like front yards, some people like backyard. Yeah.
Yep, there you go. The capital of the Netherlands has installed hemp-filled urinals in public outdoor locations around the city, as a means of combating a long-time problem of, quote, wild peeing. I have no idea what that means, but I'm intrigued. Dutch company Urban Senses installed 12 green pea urinals in locations around Amsterdam that were identified by local officials as hot spots for public urination. Sorry. Richard de Vries, inventor of the green pea urinal, said the city initially installed 4 of them back in 2018. They now have added 8 more after determining the pilot program was a success. No idea how they determined that. The result was there was a 50% reduction in wild peeing. De Vries said it was a great success.
How does one measure that?
I would think it would be really hard to measure wild
ladies and
peeing
gentlemen,
because you're going to be holding that cup all over the place if it's that wild.
Right. But I mean, it is evidence that hemp can be used for everything. I mean, they're coming up with all kinds of cool things for it.
Yeah.
I feel you can figure out how much.
Johnny, you are 5 years old now. Why did you pee your pants? Johnny, you are 5 years old now. Why did you pee your pants? Because some stoner was trying to light the urinal.
Bro, it just adds better effect, you know?
Yeah. And if you want, there is a picture, and this to me is a little bit worse than the clear bathroom walls, because this is all you got blocking. Because that is totally out in the open.
I feel like privacy is not what they're looking for when they're trying to do this.
Well, I figure apparently wild peeing is something you don't need privacy for anyway, and this is a means to control that. If you box it in, they're just going to pee on the side of it.
So what do you just stick
wild peeing. That looks wild.
That's pretty wild. You just stick your tallywhacker in that green part. I mean,
I think this is
tallywhacker.
See, here's the little guy holding his junk into it. That's to tell you exactly. That gives you an aiming point. That way.
They better make it bigger.
No more wild peeing.
Yep. We found the answer to wild peeing.
Wow.
And
they should do like one of those bullseye kind of target things. You know, when you go to like the fair and you gotta like spray on it to get it to
fill up. Have the balloon fill up and.
I figure it's wild peeing, so they wanted to put a person in there. That way you could pee on their leg like you would if you were just out in the wild.
Oh.
I've got it. You want to know why there's so much wild peeing? You just got to look at how much how long bars are kept open and how much alcohol has been sold during the time.
Right.
People are going to be going out. You can't, you got to leave, but you can't stay here. You don't have to go home. People are going to be walking around with their lads like, all right, I got to go take a piss. So they all just go to the group. Saves time.
You mentioned that with the bars. When do we get trough version?
Good God.
Who was talking?
The visual is just a little bit too much.
Yeah. We've lost Sirenity in the visual.
Yeah, I'm not there anymore.
I could just see somebody squatting on top of that thing trying to drop a load.
Right. That's okay. We've lost the visual. We're good.
Thank you. Hooked it up. Thank you.
Oh. The ham toilet.
Why don't they
roll the blunt?
But seriously, like in Japan, you could see through the toilet, but there, you could see everything. I mean, like they don't even bother with a wall or. Wow, I don't know.
Because it's wild peeing. It's just wild.
But wild peeing, does that mean that like people are just walking around peeing?
Yeah, I guess. I would hope they walk backwards while they're doing that.
Oh my gosh,
you're right.
You guys gotta go based on people just be pissing anywhere. The pub, they just piss right outside the pub. Come on. People do this all the time. Public urination, it's like a pastime of bar goers. Trust me, I go to LCSU, San Diego State. Come on, you can piss on the side.
Okay, in California, I have to say, it's totally different. You go to the bathroom on a cactus. These homeless people, seriously, will just put their ass up on a trash can and take a dump with everyone watching.
Yeah, that's the app I was talking about earlier. Yeah, they have an app that marks where people have shit. But based on the dimensions of the trough of that urinal, they're not really paying a lot of respect to size expectations to their general population. That's not cool.
I think they're just being more realistic.
Just want to get a good arc.
Yeah.
They better make it bigger. That's all I'm saying.
That's coordination is all also big.
Look, it was designed for white people. Look, it was designed for white people. Let's look at that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no rule that you have to hug right up against it, Colin. I guess you can stand back a bit if you need to. You just have to work on your aim. But I guess if wild peeing was a problem, aim is not a factor.
Well, it's a COVID design product. There's clearly no toilet paper anywhere in sight.
Oh, of course not.
At a urinal?
Wild hemp sport.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Just rub
Here,
it.
I got a leaf for him. Here, you
Hold
can
on.
use this.
We got
Oh, wow.
we got to stop right there. Are you wedge the head of your dick after you pee?
Are you a dabber, not a shaker? Is
Like
that
the
what
two
we're
shakes
getting
ain't
from-
enough. You need toilet paper.
Yep, 2 shakes and a dab, and we're good to go.
Just a little
Oh my god.
around, you know?
Shake it, baby, shake it.
Oh, I have never lived somewhere with a homeowners association, but I've watched enough situational comedy TV to know you want to be on their good side. Interviews with CoOp Boards in New York can be fraught with encounters you need to come across as boring, quiet, and filthy with money. If you're lucky enough to find a place you can afford, how far would you go to move in? Agree to host the next board meeting in your home? Provide gluten-free, sugar-free, nut-free snacks for the CoOp Board? How about removing an organ? The Villas Las Estrellas in Antarctica requires new residents to remove their appendix before they arrive. Then, as a village, the feast. I'm not reading that because he's making it up. They feast on the newly harvested organ. That's not true at all. They just put that in as a joke, which is kind of dumb. The town's nearest hospital is over 600 miles away, and they're not an easy 600 miles down a well-maintained interstate either. Boat and airplane are the only way to get to Villas Las Estrellas, right at the southern tip of King George Island. While there are doctors among the 100 year-round residents, none are specialized surgeons who could, for instance, take out an inflamed appendix in a hurry. So, yeah, if you move to Villas Las Estrellas, you have to have your appendix removed before you get there. That's a high price of living with 100 weirdos in Antarctica.
I'd want to do it.
Well, but why? Exactly?
Everybody
I didn't get like why? Is it because like they can't like take it out when they're there? Like what happens?
If it's that bad of a
because-
trip to get to the nearest hospital, you're probably likely to die, which would make
That's
the
what I was
insurance
thinking,
rate
right?
ever go up.
Right,
So,
it's 600-mile boat and plane trip to get to the nearest hospital where they can actually remove an inflamed appendix. I don't think you'd make it in time.
But I mean, like, there's so many. I keep on thinking it's like that's the only thing. There has to be so many other like illnesses that might suddenly strike you out of nowhere, and then it's like, how are you gonna get anywhere? It's like seems like you kind of
Right?
It's so niche, you know. It's so
Right.
niche.
Well, it said that there are doctors living there,
Yeah,
but
like,
just
what about
not
Tom Celebrity?
surgeons. It's like, well, why don't they have a surgeon move in?
Come on, guys. Just get a surgeon.
Just for
remove him.
appendix.
Well,
There.
the first question is who the fuck, the first real question is who the fuck is moving to Antarctica?
Have you seen all the countries now? Come on. Might as well.
I don't know. It might be a nice change. The
Yeah.
You have to watch that Above Majestic movie, and there's some reasons that you'd want to be there.
Yeah, makes total sense.
I wonder how
There's a
many
space base
Cold
there.
Right.
the Aurora Borealis, like pretty much every day of the year. Yeah, I mean, there's reasons.
There's quite a few. I'd love to go there one day.
They don't have a surgeon, but they got 16,
I'd
they
be
got
willing
16
to try.
bars and 2 brothels, but no surgeon.
Right.
No surgeon.
2 brothels, but no surgeons.
The
Well, at least I know how to work it.
Exactly.
But-
Yeah, that's
But they're probably scheduled to get a
Priorities,
new
people.
plexiglass walled bathroom with a motorized dump barrel and maybe a urinal with a target on it.
yeah, and hemp. A hemp filled urine.
I think
Hemp urinal. They get all that. I'm going.
This is the perfect world. Like if we had like a city like this that had all this stuff. Perfect. We're
Oh yeah.
set.
Oh yeah. That would be fantastic. It'd be all kinds
That
of things.
smells
That,
like- that
that would be
smells
the
like
greatest
cocoa.
city in the world. Yeah, dusted with
Has to be-
cocoa.
Dusted.
Dusted with coke.
Not baking cocoa.
Right. You got to from the roasted cocoa nibs. And that's all. It's all about the nibs these days. Kids these days. Cops at the Isle of Wight off south coast of England launched a tongue-in-cheek appeal to find 2 young goats caught on camera clamoring over a police car, according to multiple news outlets. The kids jumped onto the roof of the vehicle on Tuesday as officers were dealing with the discovery of an unexploded mortar shell dated from World War II in a field outside the town of Newport. A couple of kids caused damage to one of our police vehicles, tweeted police. If you recognize the offenders from the photo, please let us know. There is a photo, if you want to share it, of goats climbing over a little British police car, which the British police cars just crack me up anyway. They're just so friendly looking.
Those goats really said, fuck the establishment. I've never met an anarchist goat before.
Yeah, well, here you go.
I'm
These
telling you,
kids aren't messing around.
That looks like
Can I
Cash
adopt
Cab.
one?
You, Antifa is recruiting everybody.
We have a
Antifa is just
car on.
recruiting everybody.
They thought it was Cash Cab, man. Look at that thing.
Yeah.
Looks like it.
You're right. I mean, if I get pulled over by that, I hope to get like $10,000 in there instead of getting arrested. Come on.
Right.
That's right. We'll answer all your questions.
Seriously, I don't think I'd be
fair,
intimidated by that.
I think they're just looking to where you put in the key to wind up the car.
Right. Yeah, they're looking for the little. They're
You
looking
got to
for
pull
the
it back a
little thing.
little bit.
I
You
think
pull the car back.
this is one of those ones that has the little zip strip you pull right here,
Exactly.
and then you let it go. That's where they're making their mistakes. Well, you can't teach goats how to drive. That's the problem. They don't know how to get it started.
It's like
No
the old
thumbs.
Evil Knievel motorcycle they sold whenever we were kids. You just zipped it and it fucking took off. Yeah,
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's just like they pick out the floor of it, and then it's just like the Flintstones, they just ride with their legs.
Yeah. There you go.
Kind of thing.
And maybe they had a whole bunch of tacos and stuff, and they just wanted to help with the siren sound. I mean, they are kind of facing ass forward.
That's true. That's true. The funny thing is, this police car is actually about the same size as the wheelbarrow. I think it's designed by the same person. This is a car.
Not much faster. Probably not much faster.
All you gotta do now is just like paint one of the goats blue and one of the goats red. And bada bing, you got it.
Perfect. Yeah.
All
Pull
we're missing is the cop standing there, and it's probably a guard gnome.
All right. Well, hey, that's been the news buffet for the day, hasn't that? I think we covered a little bit of everything. It wasn't all poop and pee stories, so we branched out some.
We got your goat.
Thank you for putting up with the news buffet. I'm Don Smith. That's my time.
Good deal, Don.
When you look at the world through that
Right
kind
on,
of
guys.
Thanks, Don.
I will tell you what, as we lose Sirenity again. I will tell you what, guys. The last week, the news buffet was an absolute hit. So we definitely are. That now is we're just going to do a quick segment talking about the upcoming week's interviews, particularly one highlighted for the week, for not just breaking the fourth wall, but also if What's Your Effing Binge and The Life has anything they have come up they really want to let people know is coming this week. Guys, do you?
Yeah, I've got a great interview with this one asshole I know, Don Smith. That comes out this week.
That should be fun. I've heard great things about that guy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of entertaining segments to talk about. But no, we had a good interview we did about a week or so ago. It comes out this week. And then I'm putting out a bonus episode for this week being cancellation or real week in Hollywood, which is the most dreaded week there is for everybody with a SAG card to find out.
Right on. And Don, do you have anything coming up for The Life that you want to talk about?
Yeah, actually, I have several good interviews coming up. I have one actually dropped today with GQ and Jenna. Who
did he
what's
freeze?
happening?
Good on my end.
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay.
Good,
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure what was going on there, but yeah, I have several great interviews coming up. I had one drop on the Life radio show this morning with GQ and Jenna. There's a husband and wife couple that actually they narrate erotic fiction audiobooks, which is so much fun. They do more than that. They also do some horror books as well. You can find them at scario.com and churchofsecrets.org. Also, I believe this Friday I had a fun interview with Michael Spedden, who you might recognize as the J.G. Wentworth Viking. He's also a podcaster and an actor, and been in a lot of other things. I think he was on a couple episodes of Gotham. So that he had a great time with him. Really fun guy. So yeah, I got a couple of really cool interviews coming up.
Nice. And for myself, I have I got a couple interviews coming up, but the big one with the 45th anniversary of Jaws being this year, I'm thrilled and excited to turn around and say that I'm going to be sitting down with one of the writers of Jaws 1, 2, and 3, Mr. Carl Gottlieb. I get to sit down with him. So that's coming for you guys very, very soon. Go check them out on the respective platforms. The links are in the description down below. You guys will love it. I hope you do. But, don't forget, too, that I just did an interview with Mr. Kaivan, and I've been getting praised on it. It is up right now. I've been getting praised on it, including from our publicist. So, guys, you guys check that one out. All right.
What's your FN deal?
To silence the.
Gotcha. All right. So this week on What's Your Effing Deal, This Week in Entertainment, everybody's heard about Sweeps Week. At the beginning of the year, roughly at the end of February going into March, you see all of the crazy shows that come out of Hollywood where they're trying to get them picked up. Well, this week is one of the most feared weeks for all of the SAG actors and all the studios when you find out your show is either being renewed or if it's being canceled. And on this year's list, there's a lot of really surprise renewals and cancellations, starting with Criminal Minds, which has been rated number 1, 10 out of 15 seasons that they've been on air, at an approximate cost of $100,000 per episode per star, has now been canceled. This is their last season. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia has been rumored on and off for the past year that they're going away. Nope, they're not. They're coming back again. For their 15th season, they actually renewed for 2 more at a cost of $200,000 per episode per star, which means over $1 million an episode just in payroll for the 5 main stars of the show. Lucifer has become an incredibly big show the last couple of years. 5 was an unknown model who picked up this gig and making $50,000 per episode in a series that has 24 episodes per season. So he makes $1.2 million a year. He's decided that is not enough. He now wants to make $1 million an episode because he's considered an international heartthrob. So now the series has been canceled whenever it's well on its huge success. Last Standing, Fallon's reboot of Home Improvement in 7 seasons, it is not getting canceled. Everybody was figuring it was going to, but it has been renewed at a cost of $235,000 per episode for Tim and his co-stars. Homeland, biggest series to ever come from HBO, which really says a lot. Considering all the shows they've had in the past, Homeland has reached an end after 8 seasons with a cost of $450,000 per episode for their 3 main stars. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, surprise, surprise, nobody wants to hear the rantings of their crazy fucking ex-bitch, has been canceled after 2 seasons at a cost of $60,000 per episode. They have finally done it right and canceled it altogether because it was getting a share rate of 0.1, which means about 10,000 people an episode actually watch it. Whenever you're paying your stars $60,000 an episode, that's not a good rate of return. And then finally, Blue Bloods. Blue Bloods has been renewed. It is again a number 1 series this season. It has been number 1 7 of the 8 seasons that it has been on air, they have renewed. Tom Selleck for the cast gets $150,000 per episode, with Donnie Wahlberg and the rest coming in the neighborhood of about $1.7 million an episode just to pay the stars, let alone set locations. That's this week in what's your effing deal, and that's your Hollywood news.
I'll tell you what, man. The only one I'm excited about is Lucifer. The rest of them I can care less one way or another. As a matter of fact, the only other one that caught my mind was Criminal Minds. The fact that it canceled out, yet NCIS is still running.
21 seasons of
really
NCIS. Yeah, 21 seasons of NCIS and 15 seasons of Criminal Minds. It just tells you what people will tune into. If it's true crime related or murder porn, people will watch it.
Well, here's a census for everybody. Which one's going to end first, NCIS or Law and Order? Now, I mean the original Law and Order. I don't mean the.
Yeah, the original. Here's the way to look at that. Ice-T did just recently sign a 4-year renewal for his role in Law and Order, so that probably tells you that last long. Yeah.
I mean, but that's SVU. I'm talking about the original Law and Order, like just Law and Order itself.
Yeah.
I honestly find
myself they have how many off spins from that now? I mean, there's probably been 3 or 4 spinoffs.
I think there's a total of 6 Law and Orders that have come and gone. Some of them still running. Some of them obviously went out, but it's had 6 spinoffs. So I mean, it's just an epic fucking TV series, and it's produced a lot of stars and kept a lot of people employed and working in Hollywood. But it's a really weird week for Hollywood. This is the week that everybody finds out you're coming back to set or you're not, and it's just really overlooked. Everybody knows about Sweeps Week, but nobody really knows about this week being the one that decides your fate. So
it's really it's interesting looking at it.
I'll tell you what.
Especially for go ahead,
Kaivan.
What I kind of find interesting about it is that because one of my old acting professors used to be a series regular on Days of Our Lives and stuff like that for soap operas. Okay. I always thought about that. What's cool about those kind of gigs, especially for Law and Order, is that it's consistent. You know what I mean? It's for a lot of stuff. It's once you're done with the show or once you're done with the film, for some people that's it. But to be able to have be on a consistent show like that, that's just. It's like working, a regular job at that point. You have that safety, It's really
and the people in the soap operas, even though they really get spoofed or lampooned a lot for their acting skills or lack thereof, try to go on set for 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, 15 years in a row, and not have actual acting shots. Really get overlooked because they're on soaps. There's a lot of people that are super talented in that, and they just never get a chance to do anything else because of the work schedule that's involved with doing soap operas. It's a weird dynamic.
Blessing and a curse.
Plus on top of that, once they start doing characters a certain amount of time and length, they get typecast into that type of a role too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard for them to break out because they get, different scripts are given to them because there's a character type that matches what they're doing on the soap, and maybe they're trying not to do that anymore, so they turn down scripts. I know whenever I had Sean Kanan on the show, who's a huge, huge soap star, but he was also in Karate Kid, Part 3. He was the bad guy from that movie, if you remember it, but he did so many soaps that whenever he tried to break out of it and do his own thing, which was on Amazon, and ended up being nominated for 43 international awards for streaming shows. It was 10 years of really hard work for him to break free of that soap opera typecasting. It was a really hard thing for him to do. And he's a really gifted actor and he could really do action shit and everything. He's a true martial artist, but he just is typecast in that role as that soap opera guy. And so it's kind of a tough gig.
It's funny you mentioned Sean Kanan because, as I stated before, I just recently went through the kind of binge watched the series of Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman, and actually Sean Kanan was in one episode, I believe, in season 3, where he was the one of the 3 Nazi that were defrosted for cryogenic freeze.
We talked about that episode because Luthor from that show actually grew up here in the town that I live in, and we graduated from the same high school, and we got to talking about him, and we both had very similar experiences of what a dick he is. But yeah,
all I know is I'm waiting for the next. I'm waiting for the next reiteration of Law and Order, the next spin-off show. You know, the Special Pen Stealers Unit. That's the group that goes around and goes to all the banks where people keep stealing them off the chains. Like that. That's where that is going. Let's be real.
Like petty crime unit.
The Joey Diaz pin mafia.
Who the hell stole? Why would you take these? Joey Diaz a whole vault filled.
I keep losing all of these cross pins. Where the fuck are they going? Yeah, cross pins. Where the fuck are they?
And don't forget the spin-off of that show, the Big Lighter Unit. The Big Lighter Unit. You know, finding the motherfuckers who keep stealing your lighter.
I hate
those guys. I work in a restaurant every day, and so my mom's the person at the bar who takes care of the customers and checking people out, taking care of their bill and whatnot, making drinks and answering phones. And she constantly has pens that she tapes plastic spoons onto the back of so nobody will steal that shit.
It's just so weird.
That actually works because as soon as you try to stick it in your pocket, everyone knows what the fuck you have. They know that you just stole the pen from the lady at the counter. Yeah, that's an actual thing that does work at bars.
Oh, it does.
But you know what? If you're devoted to doing it, you're gonna do it. I mean, to be fair, I went to a years ago, like over 20 years ago, like before I moved to Colorado years ago. I went to a wedding. That I didn't really care for the two people that were getting married. Like they were my friends kind of, but I went there for the open bar, and the girl I was with at the time and myself, we got so piss ass drunk, man. We stole the mirror that was underneath the fucking flower display on the table. We took everything from it. Yeah. I was that guy.
I'm here for the free cake and booze, motherfuckers. Get out of my way.
Wedding coordinator Tatum.
Take anything that isn't nailed down.
Exactly.
Pretty much did. We had just gotten an apartment, and most of our silverware came from that fucking reception.
So you're talking about the new spin-off Law and Order Wedding Unit.
Yes.
There you go.
Actually, I'm waiting for CSI Amsterdam where they go after the wild peeing.
Oh, snap.
It's bound to be better than CSI Miami.
Right.
I mean, it's essentially the same thing at some points.
Yeah.
Law and Order, Wedding Crasher, Special Victims Unit. Yeah, that's great.
Please tell me they're fingerprint dusting with fucking cocoa dust.
They couldn't get any prints off the goats.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, when segments collide. Sorry.
Listen to my
Well, speaking of colliding, speaking of colliding segments, we're going to go ahead and get into it here. Last week we did a segment called After Hours, which is normally our comedy segment, but we decided to go into the story of Serenity's haunting, and it got a lot of response. In fact, Kaivan here, when he heard about it, he definitely wanted to have the conversation as well. That's why one of the reasons he's here on the show today. I hope he's enjoying himself, by the way. Are you, by the way, being a part of this silliness?
I'm having a pretty good time, not gonna lie. No, it's been very interesting. Like, I don't know, this is very, off the cuff, but also like very, keeps the show keeps going, and I didn't even realize how much time's already flown by. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, now we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes. So let's go ahead and start After Hours, where we're going to continue with Serenity's haunting, because a lot of shit has developed over the week since the last time we talked about it. So here we go, guys. since the last time we talked about it. So here we are. I'm going to pass this one off. Normally I host this one, but Chris has been the one digging in the most to this haunting. So Serenity and Chris, take it away. This is all you guys.
Okay, cool. Serenity, are you on, hon? Or do we got audio with you, babe?
I'm here.
Okay, cool. All right, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so just to give everybody kind of like a recap of what we've gone through for the past week talking about this, we've consulted a couple of local experts. One of them, just by happenstance, happens to be my wife, and then a couple of other members of a group that she's in. I say group loosely. Most people would call it a coven, but it is what it is. We've talked at length about the book, its origins, what the subject matter is, which is the Salem witch trials. And this book that she has is an accounting of one person's specific experience going through the trials and actually being killed by it. And the accounting of it, whether it's an actual original first printing or maybe it's a second series first printing, it's still a first printing. It's just been rebound. So it has a new cover on it. But the energy that's attached to the pages is what is giving her so much problem. And what it's really done is not only affected her at home, chased her out of the house, it's also given Serenity's daughter a lot of sleepless nights. It does talk to her. It does mess with her. It messes with them on the property. She's left the property, been blocks away, and the Geist has messed with her before she pulled back into her driveway. And it is from the research that we were able to do, it wrote on the windshield of her car. And Serenity, correct me if I'm wrong on the recounting of this, but you went to a park 3 or 4 blocks away. You were taking pictures of both the front and the back seat because you heard knocking around the doors. And then whenever you came back, you saw something had been written on the inside of the windshield that said Geistfrau, I believe was the way it was written, which loosely translates.
I couldn't tell what it said.
G-Y-T.
Yeah, it said goodbye, and it took like I didn't know if it said quit bye. I couldn't figure it out, so I had multiple other people look at it. So like it was written on the inside of the car, and we ended up thinking it said G-U-I-T, and then the words bye, but they're all written in like an old English style flowy text. So
and what we were able to find out in translating that is a Dutch version of Geist, which is a similar word for ghost. And the by part, the way it's translated from if it's staying Dutch, that it means it's a bad ghost is what the statement means if you follow that translation. So the fact that it was written on the inside of your windshield while you were in the car, right?
Yeah, well, what happened was I was stargazing. There was a night that you could see all the planets, and I have a portable telescope. So I went up the street and I was looking at all the planets. I was right next to my car the entire time. Nobody else was like in the passenger seat. Somebody was in the passenger seat, but I was the only one in the driver's seat. And when we were done looking at the stars, I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to go home. And I felt some like creepy feeling, and like we heard some weird noises. And my friend was like, okay, just go ahead and take pictures. So I just took pictures all the way around my car, inside, outside, everywhere. All of them came out pretty weird, but I didn't really look at them that night. I stayed on the phone with my friend, and when I ended up pulling back in the driveway at my house, I'm on the phone with my friend still, and I see those words. And I do this every night with my friend, and pulling in and seeing those words scared me. But what scares me more is at the same time, when I looked over at the window, I have metal blinds on my window. And I can show you a picture of how they always are. They're actually in the picture that you do have. That is the same window. In that window, they're cracked open. And so I took a picture of my bedroom from the car with this stuff written on my car that wasn't there 10 minutes before that, you know, and my friend was a witness to that. So she's on the phone. She's like, just take pictures. So I took tons of pictures of it, and then see that my window in my bedroom, the metal blind is cracked open, like somebody is peeking out of it. And then that very night is the night that you get those pictures.
And you
of
can
that
see the
light.
face in the eyes. You can see the face and eyes in those pictures of what's looking back at you. And you don't have to really use a whole lot of an imagination to actually see it. I mean, it's pretty plain to see. And what we
out of the window, like what people don't
Right.
understand is it's not coming from somewhere else. This is a light just comes out of my window and across the siding of my house.
Yeah. Like it's originating within the glass and then just moves across, right?
Yeah. And so when it leaves, it's in the corner of the glass, and the light just goes across the siding when there's no reason for any light. And if you've seen the video, the full video of it, it shows through to when we do, like I do a firework. And I went back to the window when the firework was going off, just so you could see what the reflection actually does in the window. So the full video is just kind of crazy. And then I don't know if all of you have listened to the EVP.
So before we get into the EVP conversation, because I did have that examined by someone who was able to listen to it in layers, because there are 4 tracks on that EVP. There's not just one. If you're able to separate it on an 8-track, then you will find that there's actually 4 tracks. There's actually 4
different levels to it.
Different levels and voices coming from it. And so what we found since the last time you, me, and my wife talked is that a couple of things are at play here that is very worrisome, and that's why we're going to do the live stream, finding people who deal both with Indian or Native American folklore as well as occult, and that is an incredibly specialized niche. Finding someone who's able to handle both aspects of this. The problem is when the book was delivered to you, and you started having these issues. We had somebody come in doing a protection or a binding spell, and or a cantation, and whenever they did that, they did not realize that they were releasing what the geist is that's attached to the book itself to allow it to roam freely on Indian tribal lands. So now we have kind of a dueling ghost situation going on here. You have the spirits of the Indian lands that you live on, not happy with who this fucker is that came from the book, now being able to wander around on your property. For them, for the past 1,000 years, that's been their land, and you're a guest on it. And now this new spirit has been introduced, and that is causing as much angst and a lot of the volatile or hostile moments that you're experiencing, because the tribal land spirits they're protecting you and the property because you're a welcome guest, or else they would have already fucked with you. So the fact that they're battling with this spirit means that you do have something on your side. We just have to find the right person to be able to tap in to get their help and also be able to handle the geist that came from the book. I keep using geist repeatedly because that's been explained to me that it's not a spirit. Geist is a very particular term, which means harmful. And that's what you're dealing with, and on those lands, having those two spirits, intersect like that is really what's causing the hostility and the really volatile actions that are going on, where you're getting spooked and the things that like you're talking to your daughter and the writing and all of that other stuff. It's coming because the spirits of the Native Americans are fighting him. Maybe not on your part, but they are, because it's been released.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I'm at a point where I should tell you that same night as the light in the window, me and another friend of mine, we saw something black that was like an animal run up my driveway, but it didn't make any noise, like it jumped the fence, and my dogs didn't react or anything, but it was like a black shadowy creature, and we both saw it at the same time. And he freaked out. He totally freaked out. And then another occasion, a friend of mine who didn't know what was going on was talking to me, and they just turned all of a sudden and started talking to nothing. Just started talking to air. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I thought that, like, and she was like really confused. She's like, I thought there was a guy standing there. Like, she was really confused, and she, you know, she freaked out too, and she left. So it's not just me. It seems like it's other people have been getting affected who are on my property. So we leave at night.
With the live stream show that you guys are talking about, that's the show that I'm supposed to be on as well, right? Serenity, that's the one you asked me to be on as well.
I want you to be with me. Yeah, because you kind of...
Is that the one you were asking me about before?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we've had previous spirit encounters. In fact, Don Smith's new interview, I actually told them the story of you, me, and Blind Mike at that cemetery up in Arvada. I actually told them the story about it. So I definitely know that you had previous encounters with spirits before this issue. So yeah.
Yeah, this one's a little bit different, but I am protected right now. Like, I feel like it's not able to get inside my home, but it still fucks with us in other ways. So I kind of feel safe within my own domain, but I have been like being grateful and blessing the house and doing it all myself and keeping it very positive and white light and just trying to do the best that I can.
And that information I got about the tribal lands and everything, and maybe they're battling it or whatever because they're not happy it's there. That I just got that information the day after you and my wife talked, with doing the the positive affirmations and envisioning the white light to protect yourself and all that stuff that she gave you. The person I talked to said that this is a possibility. With the spirits of the tribal lands possibly fighting the geist that's been released. It's not fact or anything. It's just their assumption, and they're one of the people that we're going to make sure is available for whenever we do the live stream, because their expertise is far greater than mine. I'm only repeating everything secondhand, really. But whenever we do that live, I really hope that we're able to get you some good help and put some things at ease and get somebody to come there to actually do something that's productive instead of causing more harm than good.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. I did speak to the people that did it, and she believes that she could undo it, but I'm not going to mess with it anymore without further assistance. Like, I'm just like, no, I'm okay.
Yeah, and you're not being rude by refusing it. My wife said that would probably, she said that wouldn't be a good idea either, to have the same person try to come and undo what they did unknowingly. That could lead into even more problems. So we're better off to bring in, like a person who's completely separate from the entire incident, and bring in a new person to help. So that's what we're hoping to do with the live stream for anybody who's watching. Whenever we push this out, I'm sure Chris will put it out on Realm of the Mist, and I'll put it out on mine, so we can get as many people watching as possible while we do it.
I'm interested in this whole
absolutely, because one of the things I hope
that's what started everything.
Right.
I mean, the book started it, but
I
until the EVP came, and then I finally was like, okay, maybe there's something going on.
Well, I definitely hope that not only do we get help for Serenity, I hope that us broadcasting Serenity's issue also kind of brings to light other people that may be going through something similar, and give them ideas on how to be able to handle it. Because, I mean, this is not an isolated incident. People deal with hauntings all the time. And one of the reasons I brought the guest on that we have on today was because of the fact that he does deal with this on a regular basis with like haunted tours in San Diego and all that. Kaivan, I'm really curious about your take on this so far.
Well, yeah, EVP recordings are really interesting to me. we actually have a segment on our tour where we kind of talk about EVP recordings as a thing that's kind of occurs in San Diego. We actually have a paranormalist here, resident, called her name is Bonnie Vent, and she's apparently pretty famous, at least around our parts. And she does EVP recordings, and I find it really interesting listening to them because of just how, you know, you listen to audio and you listen to anything like sonically, especially when you look at layered tracks, like what you were mentioning, is something that I find really interesting when there's like 4 separate parts of it that have, if I'm getting this right, you said there was like different voices on each part as well, on top of like the singular. So there's like multiple voices, or was there?
Yeah, the way it was explained to me with the person that I shared it to, the person I got that information from, is that it's multiple voices speaking on the same subject. So it's like they're arguing.
See, that's the thing. Like, it makes me think then it's like, is it one singular spirit? You know, is it possibly a group of them? Is it maybe more than one, and maybe not all of them have the exact same intentions? You know, because when I hear stuff like that, it gets interesting.
That's where the theory of the spirits on the tribal land being involved with this in particular, that maybe that's the layers in the EVP that's coming through. That's the way it was explained to me by this person I talked to, and he'll be on the show when we do the live stream.
Yeah, because it just sounds so much like there's. You know, when you're dealing with so many different ones, you know, I always think it gets so hard, especially for paranormalists or individuals that are working with spirits, to, you know, be able to decipher and work through everything that's kind of going on, who exactly they're talking to, who they're speaking with, and having to make those distinctions is always something that I admire, I guess, because it's hard. I can see how, like, with some people, they might want to say, like, okay, one and done. There's all we had to deal with. But when it's like multiple spirits, like, are you really communicating with the right ones, or at least the ones that actually want to talk to you? It gets so it's so rough, because especially in spaces when there's a lot of dead and a lot of spirits, like that's really when it gets rough. Like, for example, in San Diego, there's one home known as the William Heath David house, and the thing is, this house, as I was kind of mentioning earlier before we started the segment, it's a space that kind of housed a lot of people who were sick and dying during an outbreak in San Diego way long time ago. And
is this the TB incident?
Yeah, this was a TB incident. So essentially, this house was essentially what they would call, like, it was like hospice care, but it was like for people. You would go there to die, essentially. And they would have like all these beds be lined up. The sicker you got more down along the lines of the bed. And you'd start like wondering, it's like, okay, people at the very end, probably the sickest ones to go, once they're out, you can move everybody down a little bit more. So you have all these different souls that are like basically suffering in there, not able to go anywhere, all of them cramped inside one house. It's like, it's a beacon, you know? You have all of these different kind of different energies, different lives, different people that were just kind of stuck in the same spot of death, of like where they kind of had their final resting place. And it's really interesting because you want to try and have some kind of conversation, or if an event happens to you, like, for example, I had something occur to me where I actually saw. It's really weird. We were locking up the room. It was my first time, kind of the second time, I would say, kind of running the tour. And I just remember I was locking up with my mentor, and I look up on the top of the stairs, and there's this like apparition, you know, very like small ghostly figure, and it goes into one of the rooms upstairs. And I asked him what room that is, and he told me it was a nursery for the kids.
Wow.
And so you get into it and you think about it, and it may not just be, you know, fully grown adults. It's like people in all different walks of life at different stages in their life who may have, you know, left in some tragic or, you know, immediate way. You know, it's really kind of an interesting thing to see, you know, what happens to people who like can't pass on, and really just kind of figuring that out is something I find so fascinating with this whole business. So I'm really interested to take it.
Whenever you're going into the whole investigative part of it and doing like those those guided tours from, known hotspots and all that stuff. Whenever you start diving into this or talking to other people, there's room for interpretation. Obviously, everybody has their own different take on it. Just like, a minute ago, the last time me and my wife talked about any of this was whenever her and Sirenity talked and exchanged notes on what Sirenity should do as far as like, do it yourself kind of deal to help her out. Then the information for the EVP and the tribal lands causing problems or not causing problems, maybe possibly helping. Like she peeked behind the curtain and looked at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, I just found this shit out. They just told me this. I'm just repeating it. But I mean, there's just so much interpretation that comes, from everybody's different take on it or what their level of expertise is. And it's just interesting to see what's going to come out of this. The more people we get involved to help us, at least from my end of it.
I think it's a great idea, honestly. Just having.
I've got two.
So, Chris,
I do have two questions. Two quick questions. One with the multi-voice track. I'll direct to Sirenity and Chris here. With the multi-voice track, I mean, I've heard the EVP, but I never heard it broken down into individual tracks. With the voices that are saying pretty much the exact same thing, obviously we could tell in the tracking. I assume you could tell it's different, distinct voices. Are they all speaking in English, or are they speaking in separate languages? Like, the thing I'm confusing is like, how can we say that it's the Native American spirits if they're not speaking Navajo, for example? The second question I had was directed towards Kaivan. I'll throw it out so that way I can remute my mic and stay out of your guys' way. Kaivan, for people that don't know, Kaivan is of Iranian descent, and I'm kind of curious culturally. With your viewing of spirits and hauntings and stuff, how like the Iranian culture kind of views these what types of things they do if they view them as feasible. What do Iranian people do to cull a wayward spirit? I guess it would be the best way to describe it. And with that, I remute my mic.
Yeah, so it's really interesting and ironic because I just found out some information. My mother, she's a very spiritual individual, very much into understanding, the world and its surroundings, especially the earth itself. But come to find out, there's certain rituals, I guess, that kind of go about when a person is buried in Iran, and it's the idea of when someone's buried, you have at least 2 to 3 people that were close friends of the deceased in some way, or at least knew the deceased, and they would stay with the grave all night after it's been buried, all night until morning. And you stay with them, you pray, you say words of affirmation, you talk with them, but it's really just kind of staying with the spirit to make sure that they're not only that the grave is safe, because you always kind of fear grave robbing in some way, shape, or form to desecrate it, but also to allow the spirit to be able to rest a little bit more, to have people around them, so it's not just they're alone in the grave the first night by themselves. It kind of gives this kind of sense of assurance to both the departed and also those that are close to the departed as well. And it's that kind of
do you view that as like being similar to like what we do as a wake? Is that kind of what you're doing there?
I mean, because on top of a wake, because it kind of takes a step further. So there is like a wake where everyone does come, gives their kind of condolences and stuff like that. But then it's just staying the entire night until morning, and it's really that whole process of being singularly by yourself. It might be like a very small group of people, 2 to 3 at max, maybe a couple more. It really does depend on different cultures, different parts of the country might do it differently. But it's just this kind of way to beyond simply having a group coming to grieve and cherish life and talk about the individual, but to also purely for the body itself and for the soul to be able to have people with them. And I think it's just that idea of being there overnight completely. And sometimes it's not in like a cemetery, like a whole cemetery with a bunch of other spirits. Sometimes it's just like an individual plot somewhere. And, you know, it's really just kind of like checking in on it to make sure this first night they're safe, they're assured, they can kind of be able to be kept in check, essentially. It's a really interesting process. And there's a lot of other things that go about it too, like how the individual is buried, or like, because for example, like we have a process where we put their right cheek to the ground, and that kind of like it gives them a place of rest. So it's not instead of it being like naturally how we would see kind of like some graves, you know, buried like this and with the body like that, it would be cheek to the side, so it's at rest. The head is turned over. It's a really interesting process, like seeing. I'm taking a course on death, dying, and the afterlife. It's such a crazy coincidence and synchronicity, which is, you know, not far gone, considering synchronicity is such a big thing in paranormal activity. But, you know, really just kind of seeing all this kind of stuff line up in my life is so interesting, because there's so many different ways in which different cultures interpret it. And, you know, more I learned about how my culture in particular in Iran, how we do it is very, it's interesting, because, you know, it's not only, you know, a moment of sadness, but it's like a celebration of life as well. And really it's to kind of give that person peace of mind to know you have people that genuinely cared for you. So it's not like a sudden and tragic thing. You leave the body out, and then, you know, you bury it in a mass grave and hope for the best, which is like, I joke about that, but in Old Town, that's really what they used to do. The more money you had, the deeper they bury you, but they just put mass graves in, and then they throw the rest of them over top. And
it's so weird how like distinctly, or you know, like two contrasting societies, like Iranian versus, because the Irish do a similar kind of a overnight wake and watch as well. So it's really weird that two completely different cultures end up kind of doing similar things like that, and just seeing those ties that bind on, you know, this is what makes us all human and everything. But the fact that two different cultures are able to come up with a similar approach on how they do that is really, that's fascinating. That's a cool, not a cool subject. That's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, it's an interesting process.
I think it very much. I think it very much showcases the fact that we're not so dissimilar as people like to believe culturally. That the human race really is more connected than some people like to believe.
It's the thing that, you know, above all else, mortality and taxes, but mortality really is that thing that kind of connects all of us, you know. And I often think about that, you know, especially looking at just like how people are buried, how people are, you know, given a service, you know, even to like when pirates would kind of like be, would die in some way, shape, or form, they would have like golden earrings so that they'd be able to at least have a good funeral, or at least be buried safely. Because, you know, that kind of a thing, making sure that what's left of you is properly, you know, placed somewhere and given a proper rest. That's a really, I think, important thing for, I think, any human being. I personally feel like it's inherent.
Yeah.
Certain people want certain things done, and certain people, I mean, you have the right to decide that. Some people want to be cremated. Some people never want to be cremated. You know, like there's different people in the world, and you have to respect everyone's choices.
And some people want to throw their ashes over parts of the Caribbean, you know.
Burn my ass and man, get high off of it. Definitely back to my other question as far as the 4-track separation of the EVP recording. Again, how did voices present themselves? Were they distinctly forced voices? And when they were speaking, were they speaking in their native tongues or English?
That's the interpretation part of it. I mean, it depends on how skilled you are linguistically, I guess, at knowing these different languages. But it is 4 separate tracks speaking in 4 distinctly different ways. Is the best way for me to describe it. And again, I'm in no way, shape, or form an expert to be able to say exactly what's going on there. But the fact that the voices are coming through layered, that you hear 4 separate voices, 4 separate tones, 4 separate rhythms, and 2 or 3 separate languages, all of them talking at once, is that's the weird part. And whenever we have him on for the live stream, he'll be able to give us a lot more detail on that.
Well, let me just ask: have all of you heard the EVP? Because so that was a spoof. I didn't really mean to do an EVP. I was just trying to prove to myself that I was crazy.
Yeah.
And so I just put my phone in there, just snuck it in there, pressed record, and it was just a little test thing to make me feel better. But then in the very beginning of it, you hear a man's voice, and it sounds like it says, like, "Hey, come look at this." Did you all listen to that and hear that?
Yep.
So I'm not like crazy.
I did. I think the only one here that maybe has not. I think the only one here who has not heard the EVP yet, but I'll make sure to send it to him if he wants it, is Kaivan.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not crazy. You heard that. You definitely hear that. And whenever this guy who's able to separate it, I don't know what kind of sound equipment he has. He's in one of the paranormal groups, so he does this kind of work all the time. So he immediately went to separating the tracks to find out if it was layered, if there was multiple voices, and that's what he told me. We had a brief conversation, not last night, but the night before. That's the first thing he was able to find and describe to me. But what you heard, I heard too. I mean, you're not crazy. It's really on there.
Okay. Yeah. I'm still fighting with the I'm not crazy thing.
Yeah, I'm fairly skeptical of a lot of this kind of thing, just because I've never really seen a lot of proof of it. But that look at this is absolutely clear even to me. So I definitely heard it on there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that's where the layering comes in. Whenever he's saying, "Look at this," that's where you hear the other tracks, and 2 of them are saying the same thing, just in a different rhythm. And then 2 of the other 2 are saying something entirely.
Now, Don, since you're the resident guy that usually screen shares everything, do you have a copy of the audio? Because I'm wondering if maybe we shouldn't just play it on air. And guys, especially for the audio listeners, if we do this, you may have to turn your stuff up to be able to hear it. You may not. I don't even know if it's even possible. But I'm curious, if you have a copy of it, can we play it? And so that way Kaivan could hear it first off, right off the bat, but second off, our listeners can hear it for themselves and judge for themselves. Like I would share the screen, but you seem to be the stronger put out for it, so I didn't know if you had a copy of it. As Chris laughs at me using bad words.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it and pull it up here. I don't know if just sharing the screen will play it. I'm not sure how it works just yet. But let's see what we got.
Chris, you do have it.
Yeah, I know we haven't. I have it on my computer, but since I'm kind of the lowest hanging fruit as far as like computer capabilities, I don't want it screwing up the stream playing from my computer. That's why I'm hoping somebody else who has a stronger setup might be able to actually have it play. But we haven't toyed with the idea of using video or audio, and if we get the video or audio from a screen share. So this is kind of a test moment. It may not work.
I think if we all
yeah, let's see what we got. I have to dig way back through and find it.
When he pulls it up, we should be able to hear it.
So
let's see. Hold on just a second. I have so many messages sent to me through the week that a lot of these are way buried down here. So let's see.
Siren. You can find them.
Okay, here we go.
You got it.
Go.
All right, cool. So again, guys, especially for our audio, the video listeners, you'll see that we shared the screen and we're listening to it. For the audio listeners, when it seems like we all went quiet, and I recommend everybody here to mute their mic as this is playing, so we're not contaminating the evidence, as it were. But for the audio listeners, guys, the kind of silent that's coming up here, you turn up however you're listening to us and yourself. And of course, when we come back, we'll discuss what we heard. So Don's got it ready. I'm going to mute my mic starter. So everybody, mute up.
Yeah, I don't know if my Bluetooth from my car would work. I have it on a few other devices. I could really grab and play it, but I don't think it would come through as clear as you'd want it.
Well, maybe I just have to drop.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to work or not.
I may have to drop it on the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Why
don't you send it to our guests and be done with that?
I'll do that. Yeah, that's easy enough. I'll send it to Kaivan. I thought I was hearing it. I really did. I did hear a couple like knocks and things. I turned up my own headset, which means I'm now screaming in my own microphone right now. Ow. But yeah, I mean, I thought I was hearing it, so I don't know. I'll just edit. I'll edit it in at that point for everybody to hear specifically on the thing. And again, the same recommendation. When you go to that silent portion, it is the put it up as loud as you can so you can be able to hear it. But yeah, back to the conversation at hand, Chris. I don't mean to steal from you. I just wanted to see if we could put it out there so everybody could be on the same wavelength.
No, I have a meeting.
Why do you have my iPad?
Can I use it for 2 minutes?
Just 2 minutes, and then I need it.
Just 2 minutes.
So she needs it.
See, I was going to say she recorded the original EVP on her phone, so the background noise we're getting from her phone, we should have that analyzed too.
Well, it's funny because you guys are muted, so
yeah.
I think that's hilarious. I'm like, wait, I muted my mic. No, I put it on her iPad a while back. I just don't know how to get to it. I'm not one of those people who knows what I'm doing on computers,
Why
Why is my freaking mic not muting? This is hilarious, right?
Well, while we're waiting to see if this while we're waiting for this to work, and so that way Serenity can
walk away,
can handle trying to find the EVP. Why don't we go ahead and jump over to Colin's corner and let him give his inspirational of the week, because I think we're going to need it by the time we hear this and really dig into this. So, Colin, take it away real quick. We're going to need it by the time we hear this.
All right, guys. Well, this week I was doing some different stuff. I was actually researching some stuff online, different things that are going on positive, not only in my own local community, but around. And I came across some information on the environment. Apparently, there's a read-up, trying to open the file here, about different things going on with the school systems, different colleges actually, that have very good environmentally friendly means of getting their energy. It's a website, let's see, environmentamerica.org. I was researching through, and it says here there's a new report out from these guys is saying that there are 40 colleges and universities currently obtain 100% of their electricity from renewable energy sources. Topping the list of campuses leading in renewable energy are Georgetown University in Washington, Hobart and William Smith College in New York, Wrigley College of Art and Design in Florida, leading the pack in the electrical vehicle category with a campus fleet made up of 85% electrical vehicles. I thought that was pretty inspiring, and there's other stuff here talking about other positive things that are going on. Actually, one thing in Stolle's part of, or neck of the woods, Pennsylvania has long been an anonymous leader in dirty fossil fuels, but the project here is encouraging signs that we're finally moving to the 21st century. The largest single sloped array of solar panels in the U.S. has been completed at the site of an old steel mill in Pittsburgh. The array comprises of 4,784 panels and covers an area of 133,000 square feet. With the project complete, it will now be able to produce enough electricity to power 264 homes each year. The project is situated at Hazelwood Green in the city's Hazelwood neighborhood. So yeah, I thought that kind of...
That's pretty awesome, because here in Philadelphia, the Lincoln Financial Center is completely powered by solar panel. As a matter of fact, the panels that they use at the Link actually have the ability to photo project. So a lot of the logoing of the Eagles or events that are going on at the Lincoln Financial Field get broadcasted on the panels that power the actual stadium. So that's kind of interesting to me that Pittsburgh's finally stepping up too.
Right. Yeah, this is all good stuff, you know. Anything that's going to help the environment. I mean, so that way the world is around here for our children and children's children. You know, we got to look out for them too. We can't just screw it all up and leave it as a wasteland for our upcoming children and the next generations. So yeah, I thought that was pretty inspiring. And then there's other things go on to say that also they're celebrating in Kenya. Kenya's elephant population is soaring. More than 170 baby elephants have been born in one Kenyan national park so far this year. That's around 50 more than were born in the park in the whole of 2018. These numbers add to a rebounding population in Kenya, where the elephant population has nearly doubled from 16,000 in 1989 to 34,800 in 2019. The numbers are reflected of increasing conservation and anti-poaching efforts within the country. So that's good. Life is good for the elephants in Kenya, apparently.
That's awesome.
Yeah. UK.
Yeah, it's the COVID-19. They're all on quarantine. They have nothing better to do, so they're going to reproduce more, just like humans.
Well, that could be part of it, I suppose. So there's that, and then there's endangered zebras born in Florida Wildlife Refuge. 4 Grevy's zebras, the world's most endangered zebra species, were born at White Oak Conservation in Florida. Only 2,000 adult Grevy's zebras exist in the world. They're found in the grasslands of East Africa. So there's lots of stuff going on in the animal world right now, where the animals are actually doing pretty well, since seems like the COVID is slowing down people.
Did they with the question on the zebra thing? I'm assuming it was born in a zoo or habitat environment. Are they intending to release either mama and papa or the baby back to African wild, or is it just going to remain within captivity?
Well, it doesn't say all of that there. You'd have to look at the site to click on the links and go to their source story material. But apparently it's at White Oak Conservation in Florida, wherever that is, a wildlife refuge. But there's only 2,000 adult Grevy's zebras existing in the wild, so that's pretty promising if they can actually get some to breed in captivity as well.
Yeah. Winter conservation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
Are
so then
we
another
set for
thing.
the EVP? Oh yeah, you got another one. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. So then another thing I found here was the UK wind farms. UK wind farm signs deal to sell power. The world's largest offshore wind farm, which is being built off the coast of the United Kingdom, has finalized a 15-year deal to sell off a portion of its power. The deal will provide financial protection for the wind farm from price changes in the future, and it moves the project closer to completion. So yeah, as far as the environment's concerned, there's all kinds of positive things going on. Animals, energy, renewable resources, all kinds of good things. So yeah, there's that. And then I don't know if anybody else had touched on this or knew anything about it, but has anybody looked at what Metallica is doing currently? Because they've got
The
no
last I saw of
concerts going on.
Metallica was that.
Yeah, they're not doing any
I heard they're
concerts.
doing a drive-in concert.
Yeah, there's the drive-in
movie broadcast. Yeah,
Right. Right, which is pretty significant. Apparently, the Metallica is going to be the first non-country act that's going to do this, and it's this coming Saturday, I guess. And the price is like $115 per car load. And
Garth Brooks did that, and Bert Kreischer is currently doing that on a comedy tour. But yeah, I guess they would be the first non-country to be doing that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Previously, it was done by this Encore Live setup, and the first ones to do it were Garth Brooks and Blake Shelton back in June and July. So this is cool to see that Metallica's on task here, and they know that we can't have like person-to-person, face-to-face concerts, so they're trying to help people out in that way, at least, so they can sit in their cars, and breathe their own germs or whatever.
I think movies. I think movie theaters need to follow suit. I think that's the best way to do it, like the Regals and the AMCs and stuff like that. If you can't open to let people into your theaters, set up an outdoor screen. You got a huge ass parking lot. Set up an outdoor screen. Start doing drive-in theater productions of movies. You can make your movie money that way. People can still go out and see movies or concerts in their car. The only thing I don't agree with, and I'm sorry, Metallica, I'm going to say it this way: $115 fucking per car load. Really? Come on, guys. I know you charge a shit ton, but really, come on, man.
Yeah,
they charge $130 per person for a regular concert. So,
yeah, Dave Chappelle up in the Dayton area, of course, he's from Yellow Springs. Dave Chappelle's doing outdoor shows right now. He does a few a week, and I was thinking about going, but $170 a ticket it's a bit much, but at least there is comedy out there that you can see. Of course, Wiley's is open, but Dave Chappelle's doing shows up there that are, I think, a bit overpriced for the time. But who am I to judge? Incidentally, I do think I found a way to play the EVP over here. I just have to switch my audio configuration real quick. So if we want to do that whenever we're done with this segment.
Okay. Closing, I just wanted to say, like, any of our listeners out there are my friends that are local, and if they want to go and check out this Metallica thing and get a group going, I'd be happy to do it, and we could all split the cost, I suppose. And I would bring a camera so we could do some recorded video, maybe throw something together and edit it for next week.
That shit, son. Bootleg.
I don't know if I go that far. I don't want to get sued by Metallica. You know how large it can be.
It will be.
Yeah,
It's not
I was
Metallica.
going to say they're pretty big into suing people using their music.
Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble with Metallica.
Let's be fair. It's not Metallica. James and Rob and Kirk could give two shits about people using their music or sharing it out. It's Lars.
It's all
Call
Lars.
it who it is. It's Lars.
It is. Yep. It's all Lars. Yep. Sorry, Lars. We're calling you out. But seriously, if anybody wants to get,
now we know why Dave Mustaine kicked him out of Megadeth, so he could get a good band together.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to get back at me on my Facebook, give me a holler. I would be interested to go check out this show, and it could be a fun experience. Maybe we could edit something for next week. That's
right
all
on,
for me,
guys. And that is the inspirational segment. I love the segment because with all the silliness, and especially the last two episodes where we've been doing the darkness stuff with the ghosting and everything else, it's really nice to have just some positive news in the world, because let's face it, it can't all be, see-through toilets and semen smoothies. That, we gotta have some positivity in the world too, showing the goodness of the world. So I want to build off of Colin's thing, especially for this segment. If you have a story that's inspirational or enlightening, please hit up Realm of the Mist Entertainment at gmail.com. Share your story with us. Send us a video of you telling the story yourself, or just write it down and we'll read it on air. We'd love to hear more inspiring things and positivity notes and be able to share it out for everybody. So if you got a story, just hit up Realm of the Mist Entertainment at gmail.com and we will put it out there for you. But let's jump back into after hours here. Don says he's got this set up. Let's see if we can get this rolling, and if we can, ladies and gentlemen, you'll hear the EVP here again. Right. If it works, we're going to be silent. We're all going to be muted.
Yeah. Except for
we're all going to be muted. We're all going to be silent.
My mic won't be picking anything up because I'm going to reconfigure my audio differently. But first of all, I have to say, what's not uplifting about a sperm smoothie? All right. All right. Let me go ahead and readjust this, and we'll be as soon as I get it going. I'm just going to be muted now until I go back to this. So hold on just a second.
All right, cool. So
All right, that was it. Is that enough? I mean, that's 15 minutes long. I don't know if we want to play the whole thing.
There,
No, I think
there was
that's
a
good enough.
timestamp. Serenity had mentioned there was a certain time that there was more activity. I'm not sure what time it was. I think it was around 14 minutes or something.
Okay, if we can go back to it and I skip forward a little bit and see where that picks up.
Yeah, we could do that, but I definitely wanted to dig in on.
I find it very.
Yeah, that first part where you hear the look at this, that's like, what, 39 seconds in or something like that?
Yeah, you hear that. And the other thing I wanted to dig into that I wanted people to understand, that those banging noises and everything else we hear, that's also not happening in the room. Serenity has attested to the fact that the phone was left in the room and nobody was in there. So nobody was opening and closing doors or shuffling things around within the room. Those are also part of the EVP. But the thing I found interesting was even the static portions of it. And I wanted to dig Chris's brain on this. Even during the static portions of it, it almost seems like there's a cadence within it, that there might be even more voices that our ears ourselves are not hearing, but there is a cadence to the white noise. It's not just, typical just shh, but there's actually like popping and I'm hearing, maybe it's the musician in me, but I'm hearing a rhythm in it the same way you would hear rhythm in people speaking.
Yeah, that's where being an audio engineer and being able to separate it down, to 8 tracks and listening to each one of them individually is where the guy that I taught to was able to separate it. But you're on to the right thing there. All of that static that you're hearing, whenever it's slowed down, played to like four times slow speed, and each track is separated. You hear different forms of "look at this" being repeated over and over again with different speech pattern or inflection, as well as a different rhythm of saying it. And it goes on 4 different ways all the way through that.
So that's all they're saying is "look at this" over and over.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. But it's being said different ways. So there's different languages, and then it's being said in different tones and rhythms. So it's being said by 4 separate entities. Is what he thinks.
So the way it's presenting, and this is going to be a terrible comparison. So I apologize in advance for people that may suffer from this. But studies and research have shown like schizophrenia. When people who are bipolar or schizophrenic and they hear voices, the way the "come look at this" is kind of presenting almost in the same light as like a schizophrenic would hear in their head. It's kind of overlapping different voices, kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah, there's kind of a being off your meds kind of a feel to it, which people who suffer from that's kind of what they go through when they're hearing the voices in their head that tell them to do things. That's kind of one of the hallmarks of it. So you're probably onto something there with it, but a better played or a better separated track whenever we do the live stream it's very interesting, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a lot more than the static crack and pop on snap that you're hearing. You can actually hear things being said and done and movement.
Before we go into the timestamp version of it from this, I do want to get Kaivan's thought, because he's looking extremely thoughtful. Plus, this is his first experience with it, as opposed to the rest of us who have heard the audio file before. So, Kaivan, you look very thoughtful. What were you getting from it?
My thing with it is just that it's odd, It's almost as if like it's people trying to talk at the exact same time. Almost, it's like it's weird to me. It's as if like everyone's trying to is like whatever is going on. It's like trying to speak at once, and it's all getting all garbled. And I'm wondering like why.
That's why this guy that I it sounds like an argument, or that they're arguing over what to look at or who they're talking to.
It's as if they're speaking over each other, which is even crazier to me, because I think about it like, what kind of conversation could they be having? Like that kind of interpretation thing. It's like, okay, well, what are they trying to discuss? What are they trying to bring up? And just thinking about it, like, I really would like to try and hear, like, definitely the isolated layers of each part of it, because it seems so like there's more to it. You know what I mean?
Okay,
like
so can I just say my interpretation of it just really quick? So the book is about the witch trials, and it started picking back up right before the anniversary of the hanging of Sarah Good. And Dorcas Good, if you look at the Salem witch trials, she was only 4 years old, the same age as my daughter, had curly hair just like my daughter. And if you look at my daughter compared to the family around her, she definitely, like, we would be deemed a witch. She has bright red hair, curly. I definitely don't, like, we would have been deemed a witch back then. So right on the other side of my phone is my daughter sleeping, but there's a wall there in our world. It might not be there in their world. And I kind of thought they might have been saying, look at this at my daughter, because she, back in those times, would have probably been declared something to be a witch because of her hair and the lineage, like, that's what I thought they were saying. Look at this too.
It's possible.
So
because what else could they be talking about?
You think they were? So you don't think they were necessarily trying to point out like where the spirit or the geist was? You think they were more like, hey, come here and look at this little girl, like look at this, we found a witch type situation. Is that did I understand what your
That's what I thought it was. Well, no, that's what I thought it was more of like the Puritans like coming in and saying, hey, look, and it's kind of like a repeat of Dorcas Good, who attested and ended up prosecuting, and that's the reason why her mom was hung, was because a 4-year-old said something, and that shouldn't be right. But that's the way that I heard it, because of the ups and tones. It sounded more like preachers, like the tones that I was hearing in the white noise. It sounded like they were preaching in some way. Like, I kept calling them the congregation. When people asked me about the white noise, I said, oh, that's just the congregation, because I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what they're doing. It was just, the only thing I could think of is either the phone or my daughter,
Well, I definitely want to point out in the playing too, and I know we're running short on time here, but I definitely wanted to point out something that Colin had pointed out, a couple things that he pointed out in the private chat here. Number one, this was recorded in a 4-year-old girl's bedroom. I just want people to know that there was nobody in the room. However, Sirenity did put the phone in her daughter's bedroom, who her daughter is 4 years old, and left the room. So this activity is happening in a little girl's room, first off. Second off, the pure existence of creaking doors and those types of sounds, where it's dungeon-like. It's not your typical, opening your bathroom door and it might have a little squeak in the hinges. This is very heavy sounding hinges and doors that you hear clanking and banging in the background. That is extremely weird thing. But I definitely, before we dive into the last couple minutes here, if we do have that time-stamped portion, I would love to get that out, because that's where Sirenity says it is the most activity for everybody to hear. So Don, if you could cue that up, let's get that.
I'll bring it back up, and I'll try to skip forward a bit, because I don't have it on a file. It just says so. I'll try to skip forward a little bit and see if we can get there. So let me go ahead.
But I think you
was that
about the 14-minute mark.
30 minutes.
Yeah, about 14 minutes.
Yeah, let me get on here and skip forward a little bit. So let me switch my audio over again.
All right, cool.
I don't think you can skip forward.
Yeah, it's not really letting me skip forward here. So.
All right, well, that's
Yeah.
fair enough. We still got enough portion of it.
Yeah, what I might do is at some point tonight I might transfer that over onto like a file on my audio software. That way I can get it to where I can skip around on it if we want to revisit it at some point in the future, maybe next show or something. Just to get it out there, or if you want to play it over, if you want to edit it in later.
Yeah,
I can do that. Yeah, like I said, I could.
Copy.
Yeah, I've got to download a copy of it. I could easily put it at the end of the episode here before the credits for people to do it. And I'll put some sort of visualization so you know you're listening to the audio recording in its entirety. In fact, I'll put its entirety in there. You guys can judge for yourself. And of course, I got to make sure I send a copy to Kaivan if he wants, so that way he could hear the whole thing for himself as well. In its entirety, but it's really creepy. It really is, especially like Colin stated in the private chat, that the factor is that all this whole entire 15-minute segment is literally in a little girl's bedroom. Like, that's some poltergeist shit, like there's just no nice way to put it, but definitely the last couple minutes here, Chris, Serenity, Kaivan, everybody else, I've said my piece. I'll wait for the outro. I'll let you guys bring this one to bed, because this one's just it's a scary sight.
We'll make sure on all of the networks, and we'll tag Don for his as well for the live show, so that way everybody. We can get the stream out to as many people as possible whenever later this week we do the live stream, and have the audio engineer play back the EVP and the separated tracks slowed down, so that way it's able to be understood and all that good stuff. That way we can get it out to as many people as possible, and like I said before, try to find the right way to help and get the situation settled down or eradicated if possible.
That would be a blessing.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you all.
No problem. I definitely got to say this much. As far as the after hours thing, as much as I love this stuff, and I really do love this stuff, the next after hour show will be a general topic conversation. It's something a little funner, because of the fact that although I'm having fun with this, I know it's kind of a very creepy subject, and not much to laugh about in this, to be quite honest. Like, there was a part of me at the beginning of the segment that almost queued up I always feel like somebody's watching me, when you were talking about like the ghost looking through the window, but I'm like, that would be in piss poor taste, so no, I can't do that. And even I've got standards, so
I've got just a couple minutes here before I have to run, so I'm going to go ahead and sign out here. Okay. See everybody.
Well, that's where I was going. I was going to go to our
I
was going to go to our exit strategy to let everybody know where they can contact and find everybody. So, Chris, before you jump out here, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about What's Your Effing Binge and where they can find you?
Yeah, What's Your Effing Binge is available on all of the quality podcast spots. You can find us on iTunes, Apple, Google, Radio Public, Pandora, Spotify, Anchor. Get a hold of us directly at Facebook. Just look up What's Your Effing Binge. You can also find us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter as well. Just look it up under What's Your Effing Binge, and you'll find us. And we're always welcome to comments. We review shows, whatever shows you want us to check out. We'll give you a review on it and tell you what we honestly think about it or how it stacks up against other shows. Or we might just say it's fucking dumpster juice. We don't know why you're watching it to begin with.
That's right. He's speaking to you, Kardashian watchers. Serenity, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you.
They can find me by contacting one of you guys.
Easy enough. Colin.
Hey guys, I'm Colin Washburn. I'm out here on Facebook, setting up my YouTube channel. Drop me a line. got something positive to talk about, some good inspiring story, let me know. I'm here.
I subscribe to your YouTube channel, by the way. You're
Thanks.
welcome. I subscribe. Yeah. Don Smith, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and the Life Radio Show?
All right. Well, you can find the Life Radio Show, thelife1069.com. Very outdated website. All the links still work. My main feed is off of Podbean at thelife1069.podbean.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Don Smith Comedy. You can follow me on Facebook at thelife1069 or on Instagram at thelife1069. And I will keep you up to date on when my shows come out, which is 4 times a week now. And I have to point out, the show coming up this Thursday is a throwback episode called The Fried Ice Cream Bicycle with an old friend of mine named Andy Bowman, who is a very interesting cat. He was drunk one night and he bought for like $3,000. He bought an ice cream bicycle as an investment and a way to make money. He never used it, forgot that he bought it, went in debt to get it, because he didn't have the money. And by the time he came up, the fried ice cream bicycle, the reason it's titled that is by the time he got around to where he could actually sell it, the garage it was in caught fire and destroyed it. So very strange episode. Andy Bowman was such an interesting guy. And I definitely recommend that one as one of my throwback episodes. But yeah, you can find me all over the place all week long. I have shows coming out on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Fridays as my brand new episodes each week. Plus on Thursday, I do a throwback episode from several years ago when the life was just getting on its feet. So all kinds of stuff there to enjoy.
And last but certainly not least, and before I even give him a chance to tell where you can find him, I want to thank our special guest, Kaivan, for coming on. I hope he enjoyed his time with the Fourth Wall crew, and tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, had a great ass time. You guys are awesome. Really funny stuff, honestly. You guys can just find me on my social medias. It's just at Suave Kebab, SUAVE. KEBAB, Swab Kebab.
And of course, guys, right here, Breaking the Fourth Wall is a product of Realm of the Mist Entertainment, which you can find on YouTube, on Anchor, on Spotify, on Pandora, iTunes, wherever quality podcasts can be heard. Make sure you're going and checking out all the individual shows like the Life Radio Show or What's Your Effing Binge, guys. All of this exists because of you guys, and I want to thank you very much for joining us, and we will catch you next week for some more Breaking the Fourth Wall weekly podcast. Have a good night, guys. We are Hey guys, it's Chris from Realm of the Mist Entertainment. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out all the other great podcasts that can be found on Realm of the Mist Entertainment's YouTube channel or our sister channel, Sounds Dicey Gaming, for all your tabletop needs. And if you prefer your podcast in audio-only format, check out Realm of the Mist Entertainment on Anchor.fm, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, or wherever quality podcasts can be heard. To our Patreon supporters, we thank you very, very much. And if you're interested in being a Patreon supporter, please go over to patreon.com/Realm of the Mist, and just $1 a month gives you exclusive content and helps our channel out greatly. Guys, again, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode.